Hello everyone, hello. Welcome to my TED Talk. That's not really a TED Talk, it's just a presentation, a very short presentation. Hello. I think this stream I won't be reading chat too much because I've got to get through all my slides. But hello and welcome everyone. I'm just gonna have some info to tell you about preparing and doing art conventions, or like selling as an artist at a convention. Where are my co-hosts? They are coming later. I'm the host. They're just my guests. Is there a quiz at the end? Maybe. No, not really. All this info I just want to say is just like my personal way of doing things. It's not like you must do this or it's wrong, you know. It's just what I think is easiest so far in my experience. And yeah, just what I think is most comfortable for now. Like, of course, like, as you do more and more cons, you will get more experience and you'll change the way you do things. Like, I definitely do things much differently to how I did when I first started, which was probably, oh god, 4 years ago now. I think I did my first convention either 2017 or 2018. I can't remember. But I'm not saying I'm also like a, you know, a professional. I'm not like, you know, the most experienced con goer ever. But I hope at least one thing you might find useful. Okay, let's start. I think I should make my model a lot smaller because it's gonna cover stuff. I'm gonna be in this corner. Imagine I'm in a big room and there's a big screen behind me. Is this too small? I don't know. Okay. Let's go for this for now, and then I can change it if needed. All right, let's go. This is just my front page. Here are the contents of this presentation. Look at this, so professional. First, I'll do a little intro. If you literally have never been to a convention before, maybe you will find out some info about conventions. Then I'll do a timeline, which is what I do in order to prepare for a convention, like from the very, very beginning for each convention. Then I'll talk about applying to conventions, like different types, and of course making merch, very important, so you have something to sell at the convention. Setting up the convention, and some stuff about being at the convention itself, and a very short bit about post-convention. Okay, let's get started. Okay, introduction to conventions. If you've never been to a convention before, here is a picture of Anime Expo, which I think just happened last weekend. And everyone was super hype about it on Twitter, and I got a lot of FOMO, but it's fine. Basically, a convention is just a super, super big event where, like, the organizers will have, you know, guests and panels, and lots of different shops may attend, and of course, artists generally. There's different types of conventions also. So Anime Expo obviously is a anime convention, you know. It's in the name. But yeah, so most of the stalls, guests, etc. will be anime themed. But there's also comic book conventions and art specific conventions, which I don't know if they're that common because I have only seen a couple in the UK, but they're mostly for like indie artists to show off their work. But they may also be like guest speakers and stuff. And the biggest one in the UK is MCM, which is kind of a multimedia type because they have comic books, they have movies, they have TV shows, like guests and panels for all kinds of media. So yeah, there's plenty of different types to choose from. So when you think about tabling at a convention, I also think about the location. For example, is it in the city or town where you live, or is it far, far away in a foreign land? So you have to think about how to get there and where you'll stay as well. And of course, the size of the convention. Obviously, conventions like Anime Expo are incredibly huge, like hundreds of thousands of visitors for the weekend. But there's also small, like local conventions, which probably only have like 10,000, 20,000 visitors. So the stuff you'll do to prepare is also going to be different depending on the type and size as well. Okay, next. This is my kind of preparation timeline. This is a very like rough estimate because it depends on the convention itself. But approximately 1 year to 3 months before the convention, this is when you will apply. So, for example, MCM this year, they had applications out in March for a convention in May. So that's a very tight turnaround from applying to actually being at the convention. Whereas SunnyCon, which is the last convention I went to, has applications almost 1 year before the convention. So actually, I applied for next year's SunnyCon yesterday, and the convention is like next July. So yeah, it will depend on the convention, but it's the earliest thing you will do, of course, to apply, because you have to know if you got accepted before you can prepare anything else, really. And then once you know that you got in, you can book your travel and accommodation if needed. Especially for overseas, you might need to apply for a visa or some kind of like selling permit. I know that for the UK, if I want to sell in the US, I have to apply for like a seller's permit. I don't know. I have never been to a convention in the US, but I have heard from friends and stuff that you'll need something like that. And maybe for Americans to come to the UK, you will need some kind of visa as well. Yeah, and of course, hotels, or if you plan to stay in Airbnb or with a friend or something. Got to prepare for that too. And then, approximately 1 to 2 months before the convention, I will order my internationally produced merch. This is like charms, enamel pins, maybe some apparel items. So I personally am very risk averse, so I don't like to order things like 1 week before the con. And then I don't want them to arrive literally like the day before the convention or something. So I personally order my stuff super, super early, just in case. Like, for charms, they're usually made in China, which means they will take like 2 to 4 weeks plus to arrive. Like, the factory has to make them and then also ship them to the UK. And that, depending on, like, during COVID, it was very, very messed up. So all the deliveries took 10,000 years. So yeah, I usually try to minimum give 1 month buffer of ordering those international items. And after that, I will order my locally produced merch, which is prints, stickers. I get my t-shirts printed in the UK as well, so that's included. So between 1 month and 1 week prior, I'll order those, because usually my prints can come within 2 to 3 days. So those ones I can, procrastinate a little, or like make some extra prints if I get inspired, or if then like a new anime comes out that's super hype or something. That's when I do that. 1 to 2 weeks before the con, I will mock up my display, whether it's in real life or just on paper or something. I will plan out how I will display everything, such as like where will I stick the prints, where should I put the pins, etc., etc. This is just to make sure that I have all the display items like cork boards or pins or whatever that I need, and then if I don't have them, then I can order them from like Amazon or something. I feel like I'm maybe the only one who prepares this early, because I always see people just cramming merch like 1 day before the con. But whatever, I'm just an old lady who who likes to prepare. And then 1 to 2 days before, I'll pack and weigh my suitcases, just in case I'm over the limit. I gotta like rearrange, gotta maybe even buy extra luggage for the flight or something like that. And then finally, it will be setup day, and hopefully you will be all prepared. Of course, like, things do and will go wrong, so this is just a very approximation of what I do, but hopefully not too many big things will go wrong. I will tell you some stories later of stuff that did go wrong for me. But yeah. Okay, next. Applying to the convention. This is something that is like very different for different cons. So you have to really check maybe on like the con's website or the Twitter for like more details, because It might not be correct for every single convention that you apply for. But most of the time on the convention website, there will be a newsletter sign up or like some kind of alert sign up for when the tables or applications will be open. So make sure you sign up for all of those so you don't miss out. Sometimes also, maybe for smaller cons as well, they have like a Twitter that they're more active on. So they will say things on the Twitter as well. And then different cons also have different application processes. So they could be first come, first serve, which is basically just a race who can press submit the fastest. This is the case for SunnyCon, and I think Anime Expo also does it first come, first serve. But I'm not sure. And for Dokumi as well is also first come, first serve. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention that most of my info is to do with like UK and European cons, because I have never been to a con in Asia or the US, so it might be different. I don't know. Maybe you should ask Tengen, because Tengen is a very pro tabler as well. But yeah, if you know that it's going to be first come, first serve, basically try to get all of your info ready, like, to submit. So like, maybe make a Word document with all the info that you can just copy and paste. You don't have to type it out. Like, type out your website, type out your social media, type out if there's gonna be some part that's like, what kind of stuff do you sell? You can write a list that's like print, stickers, whatever. So basically anything that you might need to type out, just copy paste. That's the tactic. So you don't have to waste time typing things out. But also if it's juried, try to have maybe like a card or a website, card as in CARRD, the website maker, of examples of your work, maybe pictures of any previous cons that you've gone to, like your table and stuff, or maybe your online store if you have one. Oh my gosh, Tiberius, thank you so much for the subs. Thank you. What was I saying? I forgot. Oh no, okay. If it's juried, it's basically probably going to be like a quality contest. Generally, it's usually something like the type of stuff that you will be selling. They'll look at that. Maybe also like social media, that kind of thing. Another thing about choosing which cons to apply for is, very importantly, will you make money from the convention? So obviously some cons have cheaper tables than others. Like, for example, SunnyCon tables are £100, whereas MCM tables are over 500. So yeah, I feel like it is hard to judge if you are going to make money, but you can kind of tell also, like, if you are new, it's probably better to start off at a cheaper convention. Unless you just want a YOLO, I mean, that's fine too. But for me, I know that, I try to save costs whenever possible, because my first time selling, I was like, I don't know how much I can sell. I don't know if people will like my stuff. It's very, very anxiety inducing. But yeah, I think you can like gauge pretty much an approximate amount you'll be able to sell. But it's something to think about, I think, when you choose the con to apply. Also, like, you have to think about maybe the table is expensive, but it's in the city that you live in, so you don't have to pay for travel or accommodation. That can also be a factor. For example, MCM tables are expensive, but I live in London, so I don't have to pay for a hotel. Whereas SunnyCon is very far from where I live. So I have to pay for a train ticket and also, a hotel as well for multiple days. So the cost can add up even if it's a cheaper convention. And also, some cons will allow you to share the table. So like 2 or more artists can be on one table. You have to check though, because some cons don't allow sharing for like different types of table. For example, Dokomi, the professional booth, as they call it, you are not supposed to share those. But the regular booths you can. This is good for like reducing the cost, of course, because you're now splitting the cost of the table between 2 people. But because you also have less space per person, this can like mean that you sell less because you can display less and there's less choice. And I feel like in my experience, when you share the table, it's kind of too cramped and like messy, and some people are like put off by that, so they might not even come to your table. But I do personally recommend sharing for like beginners, I think, because it gives you like a better idea of what cons are like before you go all in. I think like sharing tables is also common in US cons, because I always see people sharing, whereas in the UK and Europe it's less common. I don't know why that is, but maybe someone will know. Anyway, next. Okay, so you've applied to the con and you accepted. Yay! Now you gotta check what is provided with the table. For example, how many tables do you get? At MCM you get 2. At SunnyCon you get 1. But some cons allow you to buy extra tables too. And also, not only the number of tables, but also the size and like shape of the area that you get. So it could be like an L shape area, or I don't know, it could just be 2 tables next to each other. Who knows? This will help you like set up your table nicely and prepare any extra equipment that you might need. Oh, and also you might get a wall behind you, or you might not have a wall behind you. So like if you have a wall, that means you don't need to bring anything to hang up your prints. You can just stick them on the wall. But if you don't have a wall, then you need to bring something. If you're going to drive to the convention, like do they have free parking as well, or will you have to pay for parking? And some cons also provide tablecloths and some don't, and chairs too, like whether you get 1 or 2 chairs or maybe even none at all, who knows. Also need to find out, of course, when to set up your table. Like, is it the day before the convention? Is it the day of the convention? Also important for booking your like travel and hotel and stuff. You can also, if you want to, bring a helper. When I first started, I did not bring any helpers because, I don't know, I just thought I could do it by myself. But the last few cons I've been to, I have brought somebody to help me, and it's been so much better. But you also need to pay your helper, people don't work for free. So it's another thing to think about. Some cons also do not give you a free helper ticket. Many do, but some don't. You'll have to like pay for an extra ticket for them as well. And of course, somewhere to stay. You don't want to, sleep on the street. Gotta find somewhere to stay. Usually the hotels around the convention will be very full very quickly. So if you want to stay nearby, you'll have to really book early. But another option is to stay a little further away, where it will be less busy, but also you'll have to get up earlier in the morning. Okay. I actually don't even know the order of my slides, but whatever. Okay, I already talked about this a little, but helpers. Not all cons will provide a helper ticket, so you'll need to check. and see how much it is if you have to pay for it, and weigh up whether it's worth it or not. There's also like, you can ask them to help differently. So there will be helpers who just like pop in every now and again, like they're just out enjoying the con, but they just come and look after your table when you need to pee. Or you can get a helper who will stay at your table the whole time and just be your like assistant, be your slave basically. Alka was my slave. I'm kidding. And of course, you have to compensate them somehow. Some people like to pay, like just cold hard cash, but also you can pay for their hotel for free, pay for all their food. I paid for all of Alka's food. I refused to let her pay for anything. I was like, nah. I'm the sugar daddy today. But yeah, of course, discuss this with your helper. Don't just be like, you will help me. Okay, now we're moving on to actually making stuff to sell. A very important part of tabling. Otherwise, you'll just have an empty table. There's lots of different types of merch, which I'll go through later. But of course, there's prints, charms, stationery. This includes like washi tape, like notepads, notebooks, pens, that's that kind of thing. You got apparel, that's like t-shirts, hoodies, hats, socks. I've seen a lot of cute like berets and stuff as well. And then homeware like mugs, little plant pots or something, stuff like that, stuff that you use in your home. Okay. So prints and stickers, I categorize them together because they're pretty similar in the way that you like make them, for me anyway. But yeah, they're very cheap to make per item. You can make them either locally, or you can even make them yourself if you have a printer. You can buy, photo paper and like sticker paper. You can print them yourself. And the cost to profit ratio is high. That's very professional. I feel like when I typed this sentence, I was like, damn, I'm like management. Anyway, so that just means, yeah, it costs little to make, but you can sell them for a lot more. And I would recommend these for if you're first time tabling, because they're super, super easy to make and cheap to make. And yeah. Okay. Charms and enamel pins, however, they are relatively cheap per item, but you need to buy more of them in order for them to be cheap. For me, my enamel pin manufacturer, the minimum order is 50 pins per design. So yeah, you have to order a lot. And of course, usually people order them from China. But I think both the UK and the US have charm manufacturers. They're obviously more expensive. And when I tried the UK one, I gotta say the quality was not good. Like, not nearly as good as the one I get from China. And the customer service was a bit bad as well. But okay, it doesn't matter. But yeah. Local manufacturing is expensive, and you can sell them for more than you buy them for, like a pretty good profit. But obviously that depends on the number that you order. Like, the more you order, the cheaper they are per thing. So if you are only ordering like 10 charms, it's going to be a lot more expensive per charm than if you order like hundreds. And of course, because they're not manufactured locally, you need to order them more in advance. You can't just be like, the day before, I've decided to make a charm. As I said before, I usually order my charms minimum of 1 month before the con. I try to do 2 months, but sometimes it's not possible. Apparel. I like making apparel, actually. It's one of my favorite types of merch to make, but it is incredibly expensive to manufacture. Like, I feel like the profit is probably like less than 20% sometimes, depending on how many you order. But of course you can sell them for more as well. So just depends. They also need to be ordered very, very far in advance because of the way usually that they print them. They have to print them individually. They're not really super mass manufactured. They can't like print 50 t-shirts at once. And it's also difficult to bring a lot to conventions because they take up much more space than a tiny charm or a flat piece of paper. Okay, some more stuff to think about when making merch is whether you want to make fan art merch or original merch. So the pros of fan art is that obviously it's recognizable. It's a big show or movie or game or whatever. Like, people know the character. So it's gonna sell well. Like, I would say most people at the conventions I've been to are there for fan art merch, you know. Stuff of their favorite character. But not all cons will allow fan art. For example, MCM kind of cracks down hard on some series, such as any Nintendo IP, such as Pokemon, Mario, stuff like that. It's not really allowed at MCM, and people will come and be like, you need to take this down. And you might get fined. I've never seen anyone get fined at the con, but yeah, it's always a gamble. Also, some stuff falls out of popularity very easily, especially anime, I find. Like, seasonal anime is popular for one season and then it just, like, people forget about it the next season. So, like, if you print too much of one thing and it suddenly becomes unpopular, now you have a bunch of stuff that you can no longer sell. And another thing I actually didn't consider before, but happened to me at Dokumi, is that the market can get saturated. At Dokumi, literally every single artist had Genshin merch. Like, everybody. And when, like, everybody is selling it, you don't stand out anymore. Like, everyone has Genshin merch. Why would they pick yours, you know? It's also a risk. With original work, though, you obviously don't have that problem because it's unique. It's your stuff. No one else sells the stuff that's original to you. And you don't have copyright risk because it's yours. And that also means you can sell it forever. It doesn't go out of fashion. It's your stuff. But of course, it's not as recognizable. People won't, be like, oh my god, I love that character, I'm gonna buy it. That means it's totally reliant on your style. And there's also a smaller market for it, obviously. But you still do get people who love original work. Like, I actually had someone in SunnyCon and he only bought original work, and then he even asked, like, is this your original character? And then when I said yes, he was like, okay, I'm gonna get it then. It was so sweet. It's really lovely, honestly, like, when people buy original work over fan work, because it's like, it's more special to me as the artist. Like, this is completely my creation, Anyway, I'm waffling. Okay, next. We also have different types of manufacturing. So whether you can make it yourself or you can pay for somebody else to make it for you. So self-made is cheaper sometimes. I'll go into this a bit. But generally cheaper because you're not paying for somebody else's labor as well. And you also have the control over the quality. You can be like, oh, this print doesn't look that good. I shall print another. And you don't have to, of course, wait for deliveries. You can print them at home 1 hour before the convention if you really wanted to. But it also means it's slower to make large quantities. Like when you buy prints from a print shop, they have huge printers. They have like 10 printers. They can print it so fast, but you're waiting one print at a time from your home printer. And unless you are very fancy, you probably can't make very large prints. You probably can only make, the standard A4 size print. And of course, you need a printer. You need special paper. You need a printer. So I feel like, I don't know, it's up to you whether you think it's worth maybe buying a printer to make your own prints, or whether you want to pay somebody else to make it. And then if you're outsourcing, then you can literally, you upload your files, press print, it's done. It's done. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And then while you're waiting for the delivery, you can work on other stuff. I mean, I don't know what other stuff, but you can. You have more time. And of course, you can order much more quantity and sizes than you can if you are printing at home. But at smaller quantities, it's more expensive to hire somebody else, because obviously you are paying for labor as well. But if you are ordering like hundreds of prints, it is definitely cheaper to just outsource, I think. It's like, Tengen's saying it's cheaper to outsource prints. It's actually, I don't think it is if you're only going to print like 5 of each print. Like, I would say like, if you're not going to bring that many prints, it's not worth to outsource, because a lot of the time, the lowest quantity where it will get cheaper is like 20 or 30 prints per design. So yeah, like if you only wanted to print 5, you still have to pay for like the same amount as if you ordered 20. But I guess, yeah, it's up to you. This is totally up to the individual. Also, another negative is that if there's a mistake in the printing, now you have to, contact the printer, return the thing, like wait for it to be delivered again. It's kind of annoying when that happens too. That did happen to me this year, actually. They, for some reason, stretched out one of my images completely, and I had to reorder and cry. Okay. What merch should you make? This is also a very personal thing, but this is some of my thoughts when I think about it. Like, what kind of con is it? So, for anime-only conventions, of course, I mostly just bring anime fan art. But sometimes for MCM, because there's a lot of different media fans out there, I will bring stuff from like comic books or like TV shows. Like before, when Game of Thrones was super popular, I had some Game of Thrones prints. And yeah, that kind of thing. And also, if there's a special guest, I remember once there was a voice actor who voiced Mercy in Overwatch. I was like, what's the game called? And she was a special guest at one of the cons I went to. So I just drew up a Mercy print, because people like to buy prints of a character and then get it signed by the voice actor, for example. So that's also something to think about. And I don't think about this one as much, but like some cons skew older or younger, so the different types of maybe fan art is also different depending on the age of the visitor. Of course, I think about what is popular. Like, obviously right now, Genshin's very popular. My Dress Up Darling was very popular the last few months. What is hype right now? I don't even know. But yeah, of course, like every season there's gonna be a new anime that's hype, or a new game that comes out. Like right before, Elden Ring was very popular. Yeah, Spy Family right now is very popular. So yeah, that's something that I do think about, but I don't try to rely on only the popular stuff because, again, I think that stuff will fall out of popularity very easily. And also think about your own market. Like, if you have a social media, like, what do the people that follow you like to see from you? Like, you know, just stuff like that. Like, I know that my followers like soft pastel art, so I draw soft pastel art. But you know, there's different styles for everyone. Just depends. Yeah, Spy Family, but not Lloyd, sadly. It's true. Honestly, I do like Lloyd, but I didn't draw him because I'm not very good at drawing guys. Okay. Next, you've made all your merch. Now you have to pack. You have to pack. If you're traveling, better make sure that you stay under the baggage limit. When I traveled to Dokumi, when I first bought my plane ticket, I only had one suitcase and the limit was 23 kilos. And I was like, okay, 23 is fine, that's fine. And then I packed the suitcase. And then when I went to weigh it, it was over 30 kilos. And I hadn't even, like, filled it yet. It was like, there was a massive empty space at the top. So I ended up upgrading my seat to, like, business class because the upgrade to business class was £60, but it included another luggage, so I could bring 2 suitcases. But then just to buy the extra suitcase without upgrading was like £65. So I was like, oh, might as well just upgrade. So that was nice, actually. I got a nice meal on the plane too, very fancy. Okay, but yeah, make sure to check the weight and size limits if you're traveling by plane. If you're driving, of course, make sure everything fits in your car. And if you're taking the train, then make sure you can lift it. Honestly. Alka will tell you that carrying my suitcase to SunnyCon was a bit of an ordeal. We shall talk about that more later, but it's fine. Yeah, so think about, is your hotel close to the airport / train station / wherever? Like, are you gonna have to carry it somewhere? Are you gonna have to walk? Are you gonna have to walk to the convention center? That kind of stuff. And how much stock to bring? I know that a lot of people asked me in the Google form, like, how much stuff to bring. I would always say bring as much stuff as you can. Like, it's always better to bring too much stuff and have to take it home than it is to not bring enough and now you're sold out on the second day and you have nothing to sell for the third day. Like, you could have made so much more money, but you didn't because you didn't bring enough stuff. And of course, most people leave their stuff in the convention overnight, so I like to make sure that my suitcase has a lock, or if you're driving and you have boxes that, I don't know, they're kind of secure somehow, because you never know. Usually cons are pretty secure, but just to be safe, just to make sure that stuff can be locked up. Okay, some stuff that I use or other people use for their displays to make stuff look nice. This one here is technically a photography like backdrop stand. So usually there will be like a big cloth thing that hangs off here, but you can use it to hang prints instead. Very clever. Yeah, I use something similar to this. You can get them in different heights and widths as well. And they usually fall down into like a little bag like this, so you can carry it. These are, I think they're called like storage cubes or something like that. If you just search storage cubes on Amazon, you'll find many examples of stuff like this. They're actually individual squares of either these metal grids or you can get plastic squares as well. And then you connect them together with these little circular doodads. I don't really know what they're called, but pretty much if you've been to a convention, you've probably seen this. Like, they're super easy to set up. You can they're very modular, so you can make them any width, any height that you want. Pretty cool. I don't have one like this personally. I have the one that's like a flat plastic sheet. I will show you a photo later. It's in the next few slides. But you can get different colors as well. Like my friend has pink ones or white ones, you know. Yeah, as Tengen says, the plastic square ones are lighter because they're not metal. And also, they can be carried in hand luggage because they're not, you know, just massive things of metal. But yeah, of course, you want to maximize the space to display stuff so that people can see your beautiful work from far away. But also, yeah, keep in mind the weight restrictions. Here are some other things that I find useful for my own display. So this one is like a card display rack. I use these for smaller prints and like just smaller than A5 products. I only bring this to MCM because it's local, because it doesn't fit in a suitcase. And it's also very heavy. So I don't bring this to any cons that I have to travel to. But it's a very good way of displaying like a lot of stuff. You can also buy these in different sizes. So it doesn't have to be this huge. It can be like a quarter of the size. But obviously it will display less prints. I also have a similar tiered display, but it's made of cardboard. And I bring that sometimes to overseas cons because it's just cardboard and it folds flat, so it's much lighter. These things in the middle here are actually dish racks. I got mine from IKEA, but you can get them from like Amazon or pretty much any other homeware store. They're for dishes, but you can use them for prints or books as well. I use them to display my zine or any kind of notebook type thing because they fit nicely in these little gaps. And I think it looks pretty cool. Looks like a real shop, you know. And these S-hooks, I use these to attach my prints to the pole thing. So you just hang. I actually hang like a little bulldog clip to the bottom, and then I hang these onto the top of this bar. I see a lot of people also have these like binder clip looking things, but basically anything that you can hook on to the bar and attach prints to is great. Yeah. Some other things, these are more for if you're driving, but at home I store my prints in a box like this, and then it has these like file divider things that you sometimes see in like filing cabinets, and I organize my prints in those at home. But I can't take these on a plane or train, so I don't bring the whole box with me. And then I've also seen people use these like foldable trolley things. So like if they have a bunch of these boxes, you can just put them in this trolley and then roll it from your car to the convention. Very useful. I don't know how to drive personally, so I always use public transport and therefore I don't use these things. But yeah, if you live close enough that you can drive, then these are very useful items, I feel. Okay, your con is ready to be set up, and this is pretty much my checklist for things to bring. Of course, the merch, probably the most important thing. If you're gonna bring nothing, at least bring your merch. A tablecloth if you need it. This is generally the cons will like want you to have a tablecloth because it looks ugly if you don't and you just have like a really crappy table. But it's also useful to hide the bottom of the table so that you can shove stuff underneath the table. Of course, your display panels and the boards and the like racks and whatever, anything that you need to put stuff on. plastic wallets and paper bags for giving to the customer. Like you put your prints in the plastic wallet or the bag to protect them. I prefer to use the clear plastic wallets because it's like free advertising. If you put your print in there, when the customer walks around the con, people will see the artwork as well. But of course, plastic is not good for the environment, so it's up to you whether you want to use paper or plastic. Of course, bring business cards. This is basically your way of like passing your info to everyone. Like some people like to have just a pile on their table that people can take, or you can just give them with every order, every customer. Push pins and tape or blue tack. This is very important also because this is what you'll use to basically put everything up. I usually use masking tape for prints so that I can remove the tape safely and then reuse the print for the next con. And like push pins I use to pin the charms to the corkboard that I'm displaying them on. You can also use blue tack if you have like the plastic squares, then you can use blue tack to like tape stuff up as well. Have a price list of all your stuff so that people know how much things cost. Also very important, although I have found that many people do not read the signs or have difficulty understanding signs. I know that some people at Dokumi were confused because I was very stupid and I didn't put the currency symbol before the number, and therefore people were confused. And the reason that I did that was because I wanted to use the same sign for both European and UK cons. So I didn't want to put a currency symbol because then it wouldn't make sense in the other country, you know. So, but I thought that was a mistake. So then for the next con, I decided to just put currency symbols. Or you can just, some people just have like one big print that has a whole list, like a menu at a cafe or something. Some people just have that instead of individual labels for everything. Of course, bring your card machine if you're accepting cards. Very important. Make sure it's charged. Also very important. And making sure that there is Wi-Fi or signal so that you can actually accept the payment. Very important. And bring change, like coins, if you are accepting cash, because no doubt somebody will want to pay with like a 50 and then you'll be like, oh god. I like to bring some small decorations and signs as well, just to make the table look pretty. This is obviously not essential. This is just up to you. But I have some like fake flowers that I put around the table or hang if there's space to hang. I also have a sign with all my social medias on in case I run out of business cards, and then people can just take a picture of the sign. And of course, especially nowadays, hand sanitizer and wet wipes, very, very important because money is disgusting. People are disgusting. Like, you don't want to be like touching any food after touching money. It's not gonna be good. So I always make sure to bring hand sanitizer and or wet wipes. Okay. And final checks. Is your display eye-catching? Like, is everything displayed clearly? Can you see every print? Like, standing in front of the table, can you see everything? Like, nothing is blocking anything else. Definitely bring tape, because literally I've never been to a con where something didn't fall off like halfway through. Usually I'll leave the con for the day and then the next morning like at least 5 things are on the floor because they fell off. I usually bring masking tape and also like a stronger tape. So I start off with the masking tape, and then if the masking tape wasn't strong enough, I put the hardcore tape on. And behind the table, behind the scenes, is everything within arm's reach. Because when the con is busy, you don't want to be like getting up and like wandering around behind the table to try and find everything. I like to have everything, you know, laid out around my chair so that I can just bend down, pick it up, no matter what it is. Save your feet, save your back. You don't wanna expend too much energy trying to find things. Okay. So here are some photos of my previous tables. These are both actually international cons, so they're a bit different to what I would bring to a local one. But this one is Japan Weekend in Madrid. This was back in... Oh, actually, this was in 2020. I went to this con, and then like 2 weeks later, it was lockdown. But yeah, my lovely friend Daki allowed me to borrow her tablecloths and some of her grids because I couldn't bring anything. But at least they had a wall to stick my prints up, and I brought my... Oh, this is my cardboard stand, my cardboard print stand that I was talking about before. It displays quite a few A5 prints here, and these are my corkboards with my charms and stuff. Pretty similar layout. This is this year's Dokumi, so a month ago, I think. I've got these plastic grids. These are my actual plastic grids. Another good thing about these grids is that because they are cubes, that means there is storage underneath them. So you can kind of see here, but my prints and stickers are underneath these ones, and I put some charms here so that they're easy to reach. Yeah, and I didn't bring my cardboard thing to Dokumi because I couldn't find it in time. So I've just laid out the prints, but you know. Oh, and if you're selling apparel, of course, don't forget to bring coat hangers or something to hang up the t-shirts with. Okay. Wait, why isn't it changing? Why isn't my slide changing? Hello. Oh, okay. Here are some of my friends' displays that I think are super, super nice and much better than mine. This is my friend Kidura's. Hers is very plant-themed, as you can see. So she does a lot of watercolor painting. So she's got a very natural look going on here with the plants and the nice little backdrop and lights and stuff. Very nice. This is my friend Monokiros. She has a very unique style. I really, really love her sense of design. So everything is like black and yellow, very cool. She also has this nice tablecloth, which is a nice checkered pattern. But yeah, she also uses these metal grids. Yeah, it's very cool, right? So these are two of my UK friends. So generally, this is the kind of thing you would see at a UK and European convention. On my next slide, I have two friends who are at US cons, and you can kind of see that the style is kind of different. They really like this like wall of prints kind of thing in the US. So this is my friend Mako. She has lots and lots of prints. And then a few stands of smaller things on the table. This is Ross's stand. Again, the big print wall seems to be popular in the US. And she has a couple corkboards and standees as well, just laid out. She also has a nice banner with her name. I don't know if it's a tablecloth type material or not, but it's very nice. Okay, now you're at the con. I feel like in my experience, the morning is the least busy time. People like to sleep in, you know. So normally, like, especially the first hour, I would say, is pretty dead. Like, not much going on. Like, half the people still kind of setting up their table. And this is the best time to look around the con, because you won't have any customers and neither will anyone else. So it's a good time to see what is going on. Afternoon, like from lunchtime onwards, I would say is usually the busiest time. Like this is when everyone will come because they've had their nice lie-in, they've had lunch. It's time to shop. And then towards the evening, probably like 1 or 2 hours before the end of the con, it will just become more and more dead again. You can also usually look around just after closing because then the regular guests will be gone, but like some of your fellow artists will still be there. Personally, when I finish a day at a con, I like to just get some food and then go to bed. But you know, others like to party. which is obviously totally fine, but I like to sleep. Oh no. Okay. Some stuff to eat and drink at the con. All cons usually have some kind of food vendor, so there will always be food available there, but in my experience, usually it's either very greasy food, very, heavy food, or very expensive food. So I like to bring my own. And for me, water is the best drink because it's purely hydration. Like, it's just so good for you. Everyone drink water right now. Even I will drink water right now. Yes, this is a picture of the karaage that Rainer so kindly bought for me at Dokomi. Okay. Yeah, I like to bring some juice or smoothies for like sugar. Sometimes you might not have time to eat or like do anything else, so like I feel juice is a good way to get some energy like quickly and easily. Of course, tea, coffee, or energy drinks. If you feel sleepy, you gotta get some caffeine. Yeah, I find like fizzy drinks like Coke or whatever, they actually end up making you more thirsty because of the sugar. It like makes your mouth dry and then you end up drinking more. And this is the thing. You don't have much time to go to the bathroom. Or like if you're alone at the table, like you might not want to leave your table just in case somebody comes. So you want to go to the bathroom as little as possible. For me, I really like to bring fruit and veggie sticks to cons because I don't like to eat really greasy food. Like, I don't know, it just makes me feel tired for some reason. So I like to bring some healthy snacks, and also make sure that your snacks are full of carbs and protein for energy. Sometimes cons can go for a long time, like Japan weekend I think was like 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. or something on one of the days, so it's a super long day. I usually bring some kind of cereal bar or like protein bar for a snack just in case. Yeah, cereal bars, they're like dense, so you don't have to like eat a lot to feel full, so that's good. And I personally don't like to eat really messy foods because, like, I've said it here, but like, literally, as soon as you try to eat something, somebody's gonna come to your table and be like, "Hi, excuse me, can I get this?" And then you'll be like there with your fork like halfway to your mouth. Like, oh my god, help. So yeah, don't be eating like a triple cheeseburger or something. Like it's not good. Yeah, good foods are like anything that you can like kind of take small bites of and then leave it for later, and just like whenever you can eat something. I'm trying to think, like, what was the best food I had at a con before? Um, at Dokumi, I was really obsessed with this one restaurant that sold like salad bowls, and they were so delicious. Sorry, I'm gonna eat another cough sweet. Hang on. Oh. Okay. So like, the night before, I ordered basically German Uber Eats, and I just ordered like three boxes of this salad, so I could eat it at the con. Oh man, but it was good because it's cold, so it won't like, you know, go cold and mushy or anything. It's already a salad, and it came with like a fork and everything to take small bites. And also, it doesn't need your hands because your hands will become completely disgusting at the con. It will be like so difficult to clean your hands. So it's better to eat something that requires like a fork or chopsticks or something. Okay. Next. At the con, of course, remember to hydrate. You will be talking a lot. You'll be talking to the customer, maybe talking to people around you. Probably talking more than you normally will, unless you, I don't know, work in retail, maybe. It's basically working retail for one weekend. Also, wear comfy shoes. Maybe it's just me, but I can't stand in heels or like tight shoes for more than like 15 minutes. So I always wear trainers to cons. I've even seen people bring like a foam mat to stand on. Like they take their shoes off and stand on the foam mat instead to save their poor feet. But pretty much you'll be standing all the time. So I also like to track my sales. Not everyone does this, but like I keep a pretty like good estimate of how many of each thing I've sold. This helps because you know like what was popular at this con and probably will be popular at another con as well. And then you could also compare like con to con, which con likes what kind of thing. Drink some water. Hydrate. Okay. And another good tip is to chat with people that walk past or are just browsing your table. Like a lot of times when you walk past a table, the person's just like sitting behind their table looking at their phone. They look unapproachable, and you kind of like feel like you're disturbing them by like going over to their table. So if you want people to come over, then stand up, like chat with them, you know. This is also why I don't I never ask chef to be my helper because he's always he just sits there looking sad behind the table, and then nobody comes to the table, and I'm like, you're literally not helping, just go home. And of course make time to walk around. Like you gotta see what other people are getting up to, and also it helps you to be inspired for next time as well. Like maybe you see someone who has a really cool display and you're like, oh, I can do something like that for my own display. Or maybe you could find an artist that you haven't seen before and find new people to follow, new art to buy. And of course, number one most important is have fun. Honestly, like some cons I've been to, I made lots of money, but it was the most depressing experience ever, and so I don't ever want to go again. Like I think I'm very fortunate in that case that I can afford to not go to the con. But yeah, so I would much rather make slightly less money but have a lot of fun than make a ton of money but just have an awful experience. But of course, you know, money's good too, so you can always just go to the cons that make the most money. Okay. Which con was it? It was Birmingham MCM. Oh my god, it was the most depressing thing ever. And I at Birmingham, the convention center, there's literally no like good places to eat, so I ate Subway for 3 days straight, and it was so depressing because I already don't like Subway. But I was forced to eat Subway. Oh dear, anyway. And I haven't gone back to Birmingham MCM since then. Okay, post-con. We're almost at the end of the thing. I really ran over time. I'm so sorry to Alka and Daki. But yeah, you did it. You survived. You did it. Congratulations. And now think about all the things that went wrong and how you can not make it go wrong next time. So for Dokumi this year, it was kind of awful. So like months before the convention, I emailed the organizer to ask, do you provide tablecloths? Because last time I went to Dokumi, they did provide tablecloths. So I just wanted to make sure that they did. And then they emailed me back saying, yes, we do, but stocks are limited. So in my mind, that meant you can, but come early so you can get one, okay? Like, that's what I thought that meant. And then when I got there, we were like literally one of the first people to get there to set up. And I went to go ask if I can get a tablecloth. And they were like, oh, you can't get a tablecloth. You had to book it before the convention. And I was like, what? I even like pulled up the email that they sent me and was like, you wrote here, yes, we have tablecloths, but stocks are limited. How can you already have run out? It's literally like the first 5 minutes of the setup. Like, how could you possibly have run out? And they were like, oh, that's not what that means. What we meant was stocks are limited because other people have booked them. And I was just like, what the actual? And then me, Daki, and Theo here, we were like just panicking because we like literally didn't bring tablecloths because they had told us that they would have them. And so we sent my helper to a fabric market to go buy cloths. Like, she had to take an Uber to this fabric market and buy us 6 tablecloths. And they cost 60 euros each. And it was insane. So we were just there like having a breakdown because we didn't have tablecloths. But yeah, luckily we were able to get some from the market at least. But then not only that, the worst thing was that later on we found out that they ended up giving out tablecloths. Like at the Dokumi people ended up having spare tablecloths. So like we didn't even need to go buy them, but whatever. So yeah. That's another thing. Just like things will go wrong. You just have to accept that like sometimes things just don't work out properly and just try your best to prevent it next time. And yeah, now you can think about the next one. Hooray, the work never ends. Like, you gonna make new merch? Like, did you see any cool merch that you were inspired by, or like a new display, like a new way of displaying your stuff? Yeah, you can think about that, and the cycle continues. You can never leave becoming a convention tabler. Okay, I think that is the end. Yes, it is the end. Thank you for watching. I'm so sorry that I'm like 23 minutes over the time, but I hope that was at least slightly informative. Oh wait, I think I have some questions that some people have submitted in the the Google form. Oh, and Tengen says something really important. Read the rules and limitations of display stand-up. They change from con to con. Ah, I see. Yeah. So some cons are like the maximum height is like 3 meters above the floor or something like that. Depends. So you can't bring a super tall pole to hang your prints from or something like that. You gotta make sure. Okay. Let's see if there's any questions that... I think I answered most of these in the presentation itself. Okay, so there's what are my top 5 recommended cons? My number 1 favorite ever con is Dokomi. That's in Düsseldorf in Germany, because there's just so many artists there. It's such a good atmosphere, I feel like, because they have a whole hall dedicated just to artists. That I don't know, I just think it's really nice. And apart from the tablecloth thing, usually it's well organized. There was just some communication error there, I feel. Okay, that was my favorite con. And then honestly, it was my first time at SunnyCon last week, but it was also super fun. I really enjoyed my time there. That's in Newcastle in England. So it's a bit of a smaller con. It's kind of just a local one. Not many international people go, but it's also a very nice and cozy con because it's small. And also the first time I've had like a convention employee coming around all the tables and offering water to everyone. I just thought that was so nice. Like, they really care about the people. Unlike MCM. Cough. I actually have not been to like that many different conventions. Like, I've just been to the same ones many times, if that makes sense. So of course I recommend MCM. It's not super fun, but you'll make a lot of money. That's a major thing. I think MCM is really, I want to say, corporate. It's like everything's transactional. It's like you pay for this, you get the table. Okay, now do your work and get out. Oh, actually, another London con I really enjoy is Hyper Japan. That one is not specifically an anime convention, but it's like a Japanese, like themed. So they have like Japanese food, Japanese like culture, like different stuff, not just anime. But they do have tables for artists as well there. It's quite nice. Another question asked me for top 5 recommended cons, but I honestly don't have that many. I did enjoy Japan Weekend too, but it's quite hard for international artists to enter because it's in Madrid, Spain, and a lot of their materials are only in Spanish. So unless you have a Spanish friend that was willing to help you to apply and stuff, it's quite difficult, I think. Okay, let's see. What is the most layers of clothing you've worn on a plane to get around luggage restrictions? I actually have never worn like extra layers, but I usually wear my thickest clothing on the plane, if that makes sense. So like, I bring really thin clothing in the suitcase, but then wear the thick clothing on the plane, such as like jumpers and jeans and stuff. I wear that on the plane. But I've never worn like more than one set of clothes. Luckily, like most of the cons are in summer as well, so you don't need to bring really thick clothes generally. Are there any tools or gadgets that are not widely used but you think is super useful? I think I already said most of the tools that I use. There's probably cooler ones out there that maybe I don't know about either. But yeah, I really like the dish rack as a print/book holder. I just think it looks really neat. I think quite a lot of like home items you can use as like con items as well. Okay. What is my all-time bestseller at cons? Oh my gosh, I don't actually know, but I have to say I'm incredibly surprised how popular my Monstera t-shirt is. Like, because it's both an original design and also like a more expensive item, I never thought that it would be super popular, but I actually had to reprint it like 3 times because they kept selling out. So I think like it might not be the thing that sold the most like in quantity. It's like the thing that surprised me the most that was popular. What's a food slash snack slash drink we can bring you at cons in exchange for your love? If by love you mean free prints, then if you bring me a cup of tea, honestly, I would be so happy. Like tea and coffee is pretty hard to find at a con. Like either it's gonna be really expensive, or you'll have to go really far to go get it, or there's gonna be a huge queue, or all three. So yeah, something like that. This person also asked if they can see cute travel pics for cons, but I actually don't have that many. Like I have some, but then they will dox me and my friends, so I can't show them. And then during cons, I usually am too busy to take pictures, sadly. So anyway, I think it's over. Let me go see if Daki and Alka are ready. Let me just see. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat as well, if it's easier. Oh, now it's time for the test. Oh, of course. It's gonna be on the exam. I hope you took notes. Okay. Let me see. Dun-dun. How do I add things? I had questions, but now I've forgotten. Oh dear. It's okay. If you think of one later, it's fine to ask later too. I hope I was at least semi-informative. I feel like, you know, when you get that feeling where you're like, you know stuff about this, but you feel like you're unqualified to answer questions about it. How do you handle the stress at a con if you have them at all? I think that like most of the stress is before the con, like making sure all your stuff arrives on time, like making sure you have enough stuff. Like I always stress like, oh my god, like what if I didn't draw something that is popular, or like what if I drew something that is not popular and I just wasted my time printing this, you know? But usually like at the convention, I don't feel too stressed. It just becomes like retail, you know. You just stand there, chat with people, take orders, pack up orders, take money. Okay. Oh, I guess one stress is like if you're by yourself and there's either like suddenly a rush of people and you're like, oh my god, I'm making people wait. But I actually find like people don't really care about waiting too much. How do you stop feeling creepy when people walk past since there's nothing to look at, so you look at them? I don't think it's creepy if you just look at them and like smile or something. That's not creepy. Like as long as you're like staring at them as they walk away. I think it's fine. Like, yeah, just look at people and like maybe if they have cool cosplays, be like, oh, nice cosplay, kind of thing. At what point in your art career / social media recognition did you feel you were ready to start tabling at a con? Honestly, when I first tabled, I didn't think I was ready. I just had some friends who were tabling, and they were like, oh, you should go. And I was like, oh my god, but I have nothing to sell. And they were like, you should just go anyway. So Yeah, I did. That's pretty much what happened. I actually, the first time I tabled, I was sharing the table with Kidura. That was my first ever experience. Um, that's another reason why I think sharing table is really nice to begin with, especially if you're sharing with someone who has tabled before, because they'll just help you with everything. I feel so sorry for Victoria because I asked so many dumb questions my first time, and then like she had to help me do everything. Like she had to basically set up the whole table herself because I didn't have those grid things yet. I literally just brought like tape and prints. That's it. So yeah. Yeah, small talk is good for when people pass by. Like, it's fine. Like, even if it's a little awkward, I mean, generally, you're probably not gonna see them again. So, it's fine if it's awkward. Okay. I think Alka is ready. So, let me just... Okay. Maybe I shall move